Greetings everyone. Today we continue our discussion of Prabhuji's book Bhakti Yoga, the Path of Love. In our last meeting we concluded the preface, and today we will start with the introduction. Prabhuji opens his introduction with following paragraphs. Many speak about love, write emotional poems, and compose romantic songs. However, few actually love. Many embark on the passionate affairs, get married, have children, and eventually get divorced, all without ever having truly loved. Using people to ease the pain of loneliness, many seek to fulfill an inner void with another's embrace. Yet very few dare to set out on the adventure of discovering the profound mystery of the human heart. Many people see love as a means of pleasure and expect to have the fortune of stumbling upon it. However, very few are interested in what love actually is. The search for love does not usually arise from the desire to love, but from the need to be loved. Efforts are therefore focused on becoming worthy of love. This implies being attractive to another. Men seek power, wealth, fame, and recognition. Women embellish their physical appearance. We will stop here. Prabhuji opens his introduction presenting us with our common experience. And he proposed that although we live with the very strong notion that we know what love is, very few of us dare to embark on a journey to reveal this profound mystery of human heart. Now, reading these words, many of us might experience great discomfort. We can deny the facts in front of us, but it is very difficult for us to see things that Prabhuji expose with clarity and accept them as they are. And this inability or difficulty to see life, to look at life with clarity, present a very great obstacle for us to advance on a spiritual path and in general to find fulfillment and happiness in life. And I would like to focus our investigation today on that feeling of discomfort. Now, before that, why it's so important to be able to look at life, at our situation, at our experiences with clarity. And why Prabhuji would start speaking about Bhakti Yoga, about the path of love, presenting us with this exposition of our common beliefs and experiences. Why do we need to start our journey examining our common reality? Why it is so important? And the reason is very simple. Prabhuji brought this classical example at different times throughout the years, that when we aspire to travel And when we speak about travel, we not necessarily speak about a geographical travel. When we aspire to reach somewhere in life, when we seek to attain certain goal, the most important thing for us to know is not how we will reach it or where that goal is located, but the most basic fundamental thing is to realize where we are. In time, in space, in our life situation, because this will define the direction of our journey. And as Prabhuji say, maybe in certain cases we will discover that the journey is unnecessary at all because we already are where we are aiming to reach. So this is the reason why it's so important to be able to examine our reality. But as I mentioned before, we have a difficulty with that. And this difficulty presents a great obstacle for us to advance on a spiritual path and in life in general. Because if we're not able to look at life with clarity, we will be confused. And it will be very difficult for us to advance. So I would like today to examine things that we all know, but Prabhuji decided to present them in front of us. We spend our lives with the subtle and yet very deep feeling of lacking, feeling of incompleteness, with certain anxiety. As Prabhuji say, if you look at the eyes of every human being, you might be able to see it. And at the same time, when you look at the eyes of the animal, unless it suffers, the animal is at peace. And Prabhuji said once, so the enlightened one. But for most of us, for most of humanity, we are somewhere in the middle. We experience this profound void, as Prabhuji writes here. And we try to fill this void with so many different things. Life happens to us. And as it happens, we face so many afflictions. We find ourselves bounced between, as Patanjali Maharishi in Yoga Sutras would say, raga, attraction, and dvesha, the rejection. And most of the time, for most of us, we're not able to stop this constant movement and to look at our life, at our experience clearly. And those words of Prabhuji are invitation for us to do just that, to stop and examine this reality. So, if we paid attention or not, if we had the chance to look or not, we all experience that void. And we can't help it. We will experience that void until the moment we will be able to realize what we truly are. It will stay with us till the day we die. So what to do? many times we ask Prabhuji, so when we face ourselves, when we face the reality of our life, when we face our imperfections, we ask him, so what is the way out? What to do? It's such a common notion for the spiritual seekers. The world is illusion. The world full of affliction. The world is a place of bondage. And it's only logical that we want to liberate ourselves from this place. We want to be free. And this desire expresses itself in so many ways. We can try to acquire wealth, security, fame. We can try to fulfill this void, enjoying our senses. Or we can try to meditate and practice different practices in order to liberate ourselves from that uncomfortable situation. But Prabhuji's answer was always only one thing, and sounds very easy and very unsettling at the same time. Prabhuji would say, only watch, only observe. If you're able to observe, everything will fall into place by itself. In his perspective, as I understand this, what we call sin, all our wrongs, all our confusion is nothing else but lack of awareness. And he said in the past, don't try to fight the darkness. Turn on the light. And when he writes those things that, as I mentioned, might be very unsettling for us to read, he presents us with an opportunity to examine them and to find clarity. So we feel this void. It's inherent in our human nature. We feel moved by so many different things that we do not understand. And we try to make sense of them. We try to present them in a way that will feel right to us. We feel certain urge. We feel certain desire to be loved, to be close with someone, to become one ultimately. And it's expressed, as Prabhuji writes here, in different poems, in the love songs. But we have so many different concepts describing love. As we all know, we say we make love, which refers to sex. Or, as Prabhuji writes here, we seek for love as a certain ultimate pleasure. We all know that when we touch something that we call love, our life transforms. And because that experience is fleeting, most often, the same profound happiness become a source of pain, of heartbreak. So I would like to try to understand all this and to try to put things in their respective places, and eventually every one of us, sooner or later, will have to be able to see all those things reflected in our lives, and more we able to see clear, things will take a certain order. Prabhuji writes, we embark on a passionate affairs, become married, we bring children to this world, and eventually we divorce. And to understand all this process, as I see it, we need to understand that as part of nature, we've been moved by very profound forces. We are not independent, and for the most of time we are not aware. A human being is something in transition. In the words of Friedrich Nietzsche, between the beast and a superman, a superhuman. In the context of what Prabhuji speaks about, it's about the beast and the enlightened one. And there is a tremendous complexity in this phenomena. We have this void that cannot be fulfilled by anything in this world. And we're also, a big part of us is a beast. And as a beast, we are dominated in so many ways by the forces of nature. So when we come to a certain age, our bodies, our brains begin to be flooded by different substances that cause us to feel certain things, certain acceleration, a pleasure, a tremendous attraction, certain desires. And as humans, with our ability to reason and with our need to beautify things in many ways, in our efforts to reject the animal, we try to cover those things, and we try to present those things to ourselves and to others in a more beautiful, in a more acceptable way. But the reality is that the nature desires to continue. And we are, against our will, very often, especially when we're completely not aware of it, are just an instrument. And it affects us differently based on our gender, based on our cultural heritage, based on the times that we live in. And it's so complex that no wonder that we are left overwhelmed and confused. And in certain times of our life, we are driven to continue the species, continue ourselves. And in this effort, as in nature, as you see in birds and other animals, it's quite similar. It's uncomfortable to see it, but it's quite similar in so many different ways. Because the needs of the nature are very similar. So we seek to be loved, we seek to be accepted, and our efforts, as Prabhuji writes here, are directed to be attractive to another. And it's very different, depends on the gender, because of the purpose that nature has with us. So it's Prabhuji writes there, the men seek power, seek fame, and the women embellish their appearance. And it's a very profound topic that today many people speak about it. It's a very important part for us to understand in order to prevent a lot of hardship and pain that we often experience in life. Is that for a woman, the nature needs her to become an instrument that will conceive the child and bear it for 9 months and give a birth and will take care of the child's needs. And for the man, this mechanism works in such a way that we feel attracted to the external things. Because as Prabhuji explains, they indicate for us subconsciously certain things, the colors, the shape of the body, that woman, that mate that we driven to find will be the most suitable vessel to carry our progeny. And when we look at this in this way, it feels so gross in some way. So it's so difficult for us to just to accept it as it is. So we have to beautify it. And men seek fame and seek power because the nature needs us to become a protector. And women would feel attracted to us if we have those qualities because we promise stability, we promise security for the raising of a child. And this reality is so coarse, so no wonder it's uncomfortable for us to see it. And we can understand why Prabhuji writes here, exposing in front of us all this process that we feel overwhelmed with joy, we feel flooded with different substances in our brain, we feel ecstatic, we feel attracted to that person. Our subconscious tells us that this is the perfect vessel to do the work that we need to do, that nature needs us to do. But we don't see it, we do not experience in this way. So as a rational creature, we impose different ideas, different aspirations, different hopes. And after time of conception, the game changes because the nature doesn't need us anymore in this way. And for the woman, her entire world changes once she conceives. She feels different. She often needs to go through a lot of difficulties throughout pregnancy. And as a man, becoming a father, we need to take tremendous responsibility. And this is not our natural propensity. Because from the side of the nature we can continue and give our seed to as many vessels as we possibly can. From side of the nature, it's totally fine. It's completely acceptable. Our society puts certain rules and regulation to try to order, to try to minimize the damage, to try to organize all this chaos. But then, when the reality changes, we often feel cheated. We become aware of a totally different reality that we didn't see in the other. And then we become disappointed. And as Prabhuji writes here, we divorce. And throughout all this process, as he proposed, we were never able to touch that mystery, what love is. I feel it is so important to be able to look at these things as they really are. And we shouldn't condemn ourselves. We shouldn't feel remorse. We shouldn't shy from this, because this is part of who we are. We should leave it in its respective place. And we should understand that love is something much greater than that. Jaya Prabhuji.